Good morning, everybody. Paul Diebold, Irvington Historical Society. Welcome to our Stroll and Learn. We're starting inside today. We're in the Forrest Howe House. We're going to look at the exterior first, but this is a rare chance to get to see a glimpse of the interior of this beautiful historic house built in about 1910 on the North Circle in Irvington. We're talking about the North Circle in Irvington today. The North Circle, one of the two main public spaces planned as part of the community in 1870. But a house ended up here, and you have this beautiful fireplace for this house, hammered copper, beautiful arts and crafts period detail combined with the Tudor Revival residence here. It's a really wonderful, example of craftsmanship of that era. This is iron along the edges here, and beautiful arts and crafts style tile. Real nice opportunity for the United Methodist Church, Irvington United Methodist Church, to allow us into this building. They opened the doors and stepped away, and we're just going to soak it in for just a minute. This was the original front parlor of the Forrest Howe House. The Forrest family, Mr. Forrest was involved with the Citizens Gas Company and moved to Irvington and built this house in 1910. And then the Howe family later owned the property. They donated it to the United Methodist Church. We'll see what happened, why we're in a church that looks like a house. We'll see more about that in just a little bit. Peggy's going to pan the camera around here. We're going to take it all in. This is all oak woodwork in this parlor, and it's stained very dark. That's what an arts and crafts house would look like. And you see also the original pocket doors for the parlor and the front entrance. Beautiful leaded glass windows. And really, I should say lead-caned glass.
Oh, a little dark in that corner there.
And then the stained glass, which was added later.
Do you want to read what it says on the fireplace hood?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and read that. It says, "Nor count me all to blame if I, conjecture of a stiller guest, perchance, among the rest, and though in silence, wishing joy." This is a very typical arts and crafts thing, to have a poetic saying on the top of your fireplace, on the mantle, in this case on the hood. So we have some images here as we start out our discussion. First of all, Peggy's going to show you a map of Irvington in 1889. And you can see the North Circle. It says College Avenue around it. You can see there's nothing there. That's because the North Circle was going to be the site of a female college when the community was planned in 1870. Why a female college? The reason for that is that in 1870, many colleges did not admit women. And so in Irvington, they wanted to be much more progressive than that. They wanted a place where people could bring their families and their young ladies could be properly educated, just as the young men were being properly educated. However, when Butler University came to the community, Butler admitted all people, regardless of gender or race. And so that really got rid of the need to have that parcel set aside that we're standing in to be a female college. So eventually it was sold, but not until 1910 when this house was built. Peggy's going to pan back down. We're going to see a couple historic images of the house just shortly after it was built. That's a little bit later there. And then there's one. You can see that the house had a fence around it. So the whole island of land, the North Circle, had this brick and iron fence and even a carriage house that the Forrest family could use. Nice little detail there. All right, we're going to go back outside. We're going to look at the front of this property. We'll walk our way outside. Touch the door with my hip here, and out we go.
Down.
Here's the original staircase. You caught a glimpse of that.
Sorry, it's so jumpy, guys.
Coming out the front door facing south, down Audubon Road. She's going to come down the steps. And we're going to pan around and look at the front. We're going to talk a little bit about architecture here. This is what is called Tudor Revival. Tudor Revival was one of the newer styles, so this was one of the most fashionable, architecturally speaking, fashionable houses in Indianapolis when it was built in 1910. And you can see the name Tudor comes from the fact that it emulates that English, late medieval, early Renaissance architecture, and the archway with its broad, rounded arch, that's called a Tudor arch. It was popular during the Tudor period. Of course, if you know your English heritage, Henry VIII was the, I guess, most famous and infamous Tudor king. The section to the right here is an addition from the 1950s, but you can see how seamlessly they blended it. They matched the architecture really quite well. So we're going to pan over here to the left, and we are going to look at one of the beautiful arts and crafts bungalows in Irvington on the north circle here. The person mowing the lawn is very thoughtfully delayed for us. Very nice.
Why don't you go ahead and talk about it while we walk?
So the house we're going to see here was built in 1910, and it was designed by Leighton Allen. Leighton Allen was an Indianapolis architect. He was very conversant in the arts and crafts style, and you can see when you look at that house that it has many elements of the bungalow type, the low overhanging roof. It's very casual looking, if you will, and a beautiful large front porch. And from here you can see that front porch, when we get a little closer, maybe we can also see the chimney, that front porch is embedded with boulder stones. I'm going to get a little bit of a closer look here. See the top of the chimney there, you can see the boulder stones. These random stones were glacial boulders deposited here during the Ice Age, and they would be in all the stream beds, probably Pleasant Run and Pogues Run and so forth, were lined with these. And to the farmers, they were a nuisance. They'd move them to the edges of the fields. In this arts and crafts period, they wanted to incorporate that kind of locally found material into the architecture. And so you will see houses like this, and we'll see some more today, where these boulder stones are pressed into the porch, into the brickwork. Now Peggy's panning back at the church. So what happened here in 1925, the Howe family donated the house. The Howe family donated the house to the Irvington United Methodist Church, and they added the sanctuary to the north. So this building contains both a historic house and a wonderful historic sanctuary. Herbert Foltz, one of the leading Indianapolis architects, designed the sanctuary. We won't see the inside of the sanctuary today, but I encourage you to come out and take a look when we're through this COVID mess. Come out and take a look at this beautiful historic property here in Irvington. Beautiful Gothic Revival architecture that really blends wonderfully with the 1910 section of the house. We're strolling along here, looking at the flank. This is the west flank of the church.
Close up of a tree.
Here's the wonderful tower. course, if you're familiar with Irvington, every day at noon and at 6 p.m., the bells ring, and it's really wonderful. You get serenaded from both the Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Irvington United Methodist Church, and a couple other churches that will ring their bells at various times of the day. It gives the community a real small town kind of feel. So here we are, we're still walking around towards the front. The sanctuary goes on and on. Here are these wonderful dormer windows that poke up through the roof that illuminate the sanctuary. This is the sanctuary part of the church here.
Sorry, it's so jiggly. The ground is not level.
So this whole parcel of land on which we're walking was all one site. When the house was built, they had this whole island of land to themselves.
It's considerably bigger than the South Circle.
So we're going to go around. We'll see there are multiple entrances. There was the house entrance, which everyone thinks of as the front door of the church, but there's another front door on this side. And we come around to the north front. With another beautiful Tudor arched entrance. This is all, of course, Indiana limestone. Red brick and Indiana limestone. You have a really nice vantage point from here, from these front steps. And look at this beautiful giant window over the entrance. So this is the north entrance. So this is the part that was added in 1925, extending all the way back to the house. Inside of this is the sanctuary, which has a beautiful scissor truss crossing beams that hold up the clear span of the church. So we're going to look at a few more buildings here, and then we're going to pack it up for the day. As Peggy pans to the northwest here, you'll see a beautiful stucco style house. This house was built in 1925 for the Wright family. If you're looking at that house and you're thinking to yourself, it looks a little bit like something on North Meridian Street, you know, that section of North Meridian between 40th Street and 58th Kessler Boulevard or so, you would be correct, because the architect Frank Hunter designed many houses on North Meridian Street that look a good deal like this. Hunter was a specialist in stucco exteriors, and you can see this is a beautiful colonial revival style of architecture on the north circle here. We think probably that Hunter designed the little house that's kind of hidden by the flowering trees here that also has stucco, that's more of a Dutch colonial style house. Also hidden conveniently by the tree here is one of the houses you may have noticed on that map. You may have noticed there were a few houses. There is a house back there that was built in the 1880s. However, it was very substantially remodeled in about 1915, so it looks more like a bungalow style of architecture now. However, if you look at the back porch area, it is more in keeping with an 1880s Queen Anne kind of house. Panning around here, you see another very interesting house that's tan brick. It's very prairie looking. It was built in about 1926 for the LaBelle family. Its unique architecture includes that it is built of reinforced concrete. So someone was probably either very afraid of bad storms or fire or both. But it's a wonderful house. So we're going to pan a little bit. We'll finish off with the house here that belonged to the Thornton family originally, and you can see it has a whole fence of the boulder stones, and the whole first story and porch are built of those boulder stones pressed into concrete. Again, those are those glacial boulders that came from the area creekways. This is a very nice arts and crafts style house built in about 1910. The Thornton family owned a bed manufacturing company, so they would make probably iron bedsteads, wooden bedsteads, things of that kind. You can see also it has a beautiful red terracotta tile roof that beautifully complements its architecture. And that's about it for today, folks. I think we're going to wrap it up. I thank you for coming out. We have a few sponsors we want to recognize today that Peggy's going to tell you about.
And don't forget to visit our website where you can check out all of our fun exhibits that you can actually go and visit at some point in the future. And you can also become a member and you can donate. Irvingtonhistorical.info. And I want to mention one of our sponsors, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority, founded in 1922. It's an African American sorority founded by teachers, most of which who graduated from Shortridge. I urge you to go to their website and check it out. Very, very interesting history there. And it's got a connection to Irvington. We'll talk about that another day. Thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe.